So, hello everybody. Welcome to another M8 meetup. We just had one a couple weeks ago to talk about version 5, and we had so many user bundle submissions that we decided to break it up into two parts. So this meeting today is basically to, talk about random subjects and then to get going on the bundles that weren't played at the last meetup. With me today is Mikey303 and Azure Sky, and we're just gonna talk and hang out.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
So, real quick before I get started on anything, 5.1 is already out, which is just minor bug fixes from version 5 and before. I think all of the bugs that were fixed in 5.1 were not actually from version 5. They're all just like edge case stuff from version 4 and before. So if you're not up to date, that's kind of the current one. As well, we had a pre-order batch a couple weeks back, and we're still scheduled to begin shipping in early April. I'm just waiting for the PCBs to be soldered, and then we'll begin assembly over here. So I'm hoping to start shipping them out during the first week of April. And we should open up another pre-order in April. I'm currently waiting on some parts to make sure that I could meet any timeline that I set up during the pre-order, and that's why it hasn't been announced yet. Once I have confirmation that I'll have those parts available, it's basically SD card sockets currently. I don't know what happened to them, but they're all mysteriously gone. But yeah, I have two reels ordered from a month or two ago, so hopefully we'll get those soon so I could open up pre-orders again. And I think that's it. For this week's meetup, since we didn't really have anything planned, I thought it might be nice to kind of go over some basic stuff, or what we would, us old people, would deem as basic, because we've been doing this for so long. But maybe some people that are new to M8 are actively avoiding. And I would just like to kind of go over it real quick just to show you that it's pretty easy and a very powerful tool. What I'm talking about is tables. And I know that there's a very old meetup that we did a couple years back where we talked about tables. But I would just kind of like to go over it one more time, just because it's such a powerful tool, and it's really simple when you boil it down to its basics. So I don't know if the volume's okay here or not. I assume it is.
Sounds okay to me.
Okay. So tables, if we want to just keep it simple, not think about anything else, they're basically little modulation thingy or an arpeggio that each instrument in your song gets a table, and that table's played along with the instrument when the instrument plays. So if I hit play here, and this is, just playing C4 on an FM synth, you can see the table here is running super fast, right? But say we wanted to do, say you're working with a sample, and you wanted to basically have its root note be a different note. And then the sampler, we have a detune parameter here, which might get you what you're looking for. But another way to do it, let me just load a sample real quick in my giant directory. Synths, let's say that one. So say I want this C4 to start on a different note. Normally how I do it is I just shift over to the table, select all of this first column. The N means note, and that's a note. So if I just bring that up a couple semitones, then whenever it plays now, you can see it's still C4 on the phrase, but on the right there it says E4 because it's been shifted up a little bit. So that's kind of like the first go-to, and anybody who watches me use M8, you'll see me do that all the time, especially like when all of a sudden I want, like say this is instrument line I already written out, and I wanted an octave up or an octave lower than what I originally wrote it as. I'll just do it in the table and just hit edit and up, and it'll shift it up by an octave, or edit and down, and it'll shift it down one octave. That by itself is pretty convenient, but another thing we could do is basically make this work like an arpeggio. And how I'd like to do that is there's this thing here in the instrument screen called table tick. And for those that don't know what ticks are, they are the smallest unit of time in M8. And there's 24 ticks per quarter note, which basically means there's 24 ticks in between this first line here and the fourth one. And right now the table by default's running at 1 tick per row, so it's just screaming by really quickly. I'm going to set this to 6, which you can see at the bottom of the screen there, it says table speed 1 steps, 1 steps, 0 ticks. And now this table's moving basically kind of lined up with the phrase. Every single row here is also here. So if I wanted to do a simple kind of arpeggio thing, I don't know why this synth is so quiet. Oh, it's a sample, right? Just turn it up a little bit. So you can see how it's running through all 16 steps, and obviously we might not want that if we're doing a 3-note arpeggio. So we're going to use a command here called hop, and that'll basically loop just the top section here. So hop 0, 0. And you can also see how it's not re-triggering the note. It's just doing kind of a slide between the pitches without actually re-triggering that sample. And if we do want that re-trigger, how I tend to do it always is use the retrig command. And if you just hit edit and up once, it'll say, you can see at the bottom it says retrig now. So I could just do 3 of those. Yeah, so that's just a simple, fast way of getting a basic arpeggio down, and you could make it really long if you want to. That's part of the superpower, I think, of tables. Is I almost look at them like the utility, like a utility for M8 itself. It allows a lot of flexibility that isn't there by default, and you could do a lot of interesting tricks, and you go down a big rabbit hole as far as the things you could do with tables. And I think that's maybe why they get kind of intimidating, is you hear people talk about doing all these crazy things in tables, and it's like, oh, well, that just sounds too complicated, because I don't need to get that complicated to play back some samples. And that's why I wanted to show you just a couple ways that are important. Using the N column for doing a bass transpose is super convenient, as well as doing bass arpeggios with tables. There's some other, inside the default instruments, there's also like some of the presets that come with M8. There's this one that I made somewhere, sequence, public access. It's an FM synth. It's really, looks very complicated. It's a lot simpler than it looks. But the table here is kind of frightening. But what that's doing is just, you can see it's like playing, it's changing the pitch between the oscillators and making a little melody inside the table itself. That's something for you to check out if you want to start going down the rabbit hole of things that tables can do. A lot of times too, you'll see at the bottom of the table, somebody will put a tick command, and tick is basically, tick is setting the same value that's here in the instrument screen. Only at the bottom, there's a special condition where if it's placed at the bottom here, the table's smart enough to like look at the bottom. Oh, you set a tick command, and it'll just start playing at that tick speed up top. And you can see now when that tick is here, the other 2 columns are playing at their own rates. And it's because each column can be a different tick rate. So if you wanted to match them, you would set them all the same here. Or if you wanted one to go super fast. So you could start getting really down the rabbit hole, which I wasn't planning on doing today. But just letting you know, don't be confused by tables. You could just use it as a base utility for doing transpositions, which is what probably a lot of people do without getting into the weeds. So yeah, I don't know if that was fruitful for anybody.
It made me less scared.
Sweet.
One of my favorite uses of tables would be to automate something that would otherwise be tedious in a phrase. For example, maybe you wanted to have an instrument that panned left and right every time it re-triggered. And rather than going in the phrase and using the pan command over and over again, you could use something like a tick speed 0 with two different pan values. And every time it re-triggers, it would play one or the other. So it's just a lot of easy ways to automate things that would otherwise be monotonous or tedious, especially if you're doing some sort of long melodic line that requires a lot of phrases and a lot of chains and not having to nitpick each and every single one of those phrases.
Yeah, that's one of the things with God, this I shouldn't have loaded this because it looks so complicated for what it is. I'm going to clear some of these out just to make it look simpler. But yeah, I forgot to mention the thing to look at on the tick. Hold on, doing two things at once. This table ticks thing, if you start navigating it, you could see at the bottom it's telling you how long each tick's going to be. But if you go downward, there's a bunch of special tricks here. So at 0, it's a note increment, which means it'll increment this table every time the note triggers or the instrument triggers. And if you go further down from that, there's like a 200 hertz mode, which is just like super, super fast. And then below that, there's a note map, which will note, we talked about recently on the version 4, I think it's a version 4 thing, but to map each row to a different note number. But yeah.
It's really useful.
I set this up to your example with pan, I think. With the table tick 0, 0, and then it's just alternating two different pan values.
Huh. It's really neat that you don't have to do it in like the mod.
Yeah.
LFO thing.
Yeah, you could do some of these tricks with using LFOs or the envelopes, but then sometimes you're out of, you're using them all already. Mm-hmm. Or if it's just something that needs to happen immediately, like that's where just entering in the command in the table would help. There's all sorts of weird other tricks you could get into using with tables, but I tend to gravitate toward them whenever I'm doing something that I'm like, oh, how do I do XYZ? Oh, I could just add it as a command in the table and yada, yada, yada down the rabbit hole. Somebody asked if hertz frequency is LFO rate is possible. No, because the LFOs are locked to the tempo. It's kind of a design thing. So if we really wanted to go into the weeds, I have this project, I think it's this one, Flute Alchemy, which is one of the demo songs on Model 2. If you go into demos and then Generative, this is one of the generative songs. And I make great use of tables to do all these tricks, but I'll just play it for a second and then show you what I ended up doing to make this work. I don't know, Mikey, maybe you remember. I don't know if I showed this like actually working in a previous meetup. I might have, but
if you did, it was a long time ago, so it's worth revisiting.
Okay.
I can't recall off the top of my head.
Cool, thanks. Goes on and on. It's basically random how the song works, but essentially there are 6 of the same exact instrument, and and all 6 use the exact same phrase, this phrase 0, 0. And this looks pretty complicated here, but basically we have a C7 note playing at instrument 0, and then a pan command, and then RNL, which is randomize left, which means it'll randomize the parameter to the left. So as soon as this note plays, it'll randomly pan basically the instrument. So every time I trigger this, it'll be at some random pan location. Then after it does that, after it does that, anytime there's ever a pitch change whatsoever, it'll have a random pitch slide amount, which is this PSL means is a pitch slide, and it's randomized 0 to F. So just randomize the glide a little bit if there's ever any pitch changes. And then over here we have the TBX command, which is using a table as an auxiliary table, which means it'll play along with the phrase, and it's not really attached to the instrument itself. It just gave me more room for more commands to add, so I added in a vibrato here with a random range, again using the randomized left. And then there's a chance that this whole row happens. The CHA means chance. So there's a 50% chance that at every row, it'll kind of randomize the vibrato. So I'm basically just making the instrument have more dynamics to it. You can see it's never changing the pitch at all, and that's because, and again, all of these 1 through 6 are the exact same phrase except for with a transpose in there. So I'm transposing the notes slightly on each of these tracks. Track 7 is slightly different because I think I put a bass synth in here. Yeah, it's just something to add some low end to the song. And then this 8th track is basically the song position thing, and it's responsible for actually changing all of the notes. And how it's doing that is, first, it's incrementing insanely slow. You see the playhead here? I used a groove command to make this phrase basically move very, very slow. And then right here it's using, again, an aux table, TBX command. And I put this, instead of putting this at the very top here, this table is actually responsible for transposing all of the notes. And by putting it way down here, it means it doesn't start doing any kind of randomizing the notes until after everything fades in and it breathes for a little bit. What you'll see here, once it hits this, it should start transposing those instruments. How it's doing all those new notes and how they sound nice is it's literally just it's randomizing the global transpose with a chance of randomizing it. So there's a 75% chance that it's going to mess with this thing right here. So that's all it's doing, is just moving this along. And since all of these changes have different transposes in them, they all have a different note. So if I remove this 8th track, so now these will just play by themselves without any intervention. And I come up here and I just... Yeah. And of course I'm using a scale, and that's why everything sounds nice together. It's using a C minor scale, I think, with no... Yeah, it's just the stock scale, so I didn't even modify it. But yeah, that's kind of getting in the rabbit hole using tables, using the auxiliary table, et cetera, just to do something kind of generative, I guess, just by changing the global transpose. But yeah, the other fun thing with this is it's using the macrosynth bode, which is a physical model of a bode instrument. To me, in this current situation, the way it's set up, it sounds like a flute. But I'm doing wacky stuff with the timbre and the color parameters, timbre, if you will. You can see it's really evolving that sound over time just by having some random values scattering those parameters. I wonder what fluted would sound like. I always think of that, like, that 21st Century Fox, like,
What?
the flute, like,
Oh, that one.
yeah, or like the Titanic one.
Try it with pluck.
The same patch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's not going to work because it needs some retriggering.
Oh.
But we could make that happen, actually. So I'm just going to do, I think there's a trig command here. Yeah. It's a little abrasive if it's on all the time, huh?
Maybe like half that amount, randomize the amount? Frequency, I mean.
So if I take these out and I put a trig in here instead, we don't need the first trig, and then we'll do a chance, maybe? This might work. So let's say like 40% of the time it'll re-trigger, yeah, in a hop. Yeah, that works.
Brightface says Shogun 2049.
So yeah, tables. Cool stuff. I think that pretty much covers some things to get going down the rabbit hole. If anybody has any questions, or Mikey, any thing to say, add?
Seems like you answered pretty much any questions, or you did a great job.
I don't even know what I'm doing. So I just got back. Sky and I just got back from the East Coast, where we played Boston Bitdown with a bunch of our friends, and we flew back in about 36 hours ago.
Yeah.
So we got a bit of jet lag and everything, and didn't really have much time to plan this meetup. Friday, when I got back, I had 3 repairs to do and a couple other things to ship out. So by the time I was done on Friday to ship the stuff out, like, it was already past 5 o'clock and the shipping place was closed. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll hold on to these packages until Monday. So if you're one of the lucky few people who had their M8 sent in, it'll go out on Monday. But yeah, Boston Bitdown was pretty awesome. It's always good to see everybody.
Boston was cold.
Boston was freezing. New York was smelly.
Yeah.
The funny thing with New York is, like, they now have the
trash bins?
Yeah, the trash bins, which is like a new thing, but not. It's like not quite all done up yet. Where I think like the demand, just the scale of the problem there. So they still have like the 2 days a week or whatever, the trash day pickup where there's bags everywhere, and that's the day we got into New York. So
I still want to just jump into a big ass pile of the paper shredder bags.
So I don't know if we should show anything else or just get into bundles and hang out, or what does everybody think? Or if anybody has any other questions. Oh, there was something else I wanted to cover, which was, I'll just use this project. I'll reload it. No, I can't use this project. I have to figure out something else. I was reading where people were like, oh, it'd be nice if we could be able to, like, say, sample, have M8's audio go out to something and, like, say, a guitar pedal or whatever, and then bring that back in. And there's no real way of doing that because you can't monitor at the same time. It would cause feedback, if you know what I'm talking about. And there is a workaround for that. Inbox pointed it out, and yeah, it's with the new 5.0, there's a way of working around that. And maybe I should demo that real quick. I'm just going to load the synth drums demo 2. I'm gonna change it up here a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I want this track, the whole song. I want to be able to externally process it and bring it back in, and I'm gonna set that up right now. So it does require using a track to be able to do this, but I'm gonna use track 8 because it's not being used here. I'm gonna create a new external instrument. Set its port to nothing, and then I'm going to sample using the line in. And what else do I need to do? I need to turn dry all the way down. So basically, you're not going to be able to hear it, would be the downside. But if you have externally a way to mix, to hear whatever you're processing, then you could work around that. So now we have this external instrument that can basically sample the input, but it never outputs any audio. So it prevents the feedback loop from happening. And I just need to set up my mixer here so that way the thing is right, which I think it is. M8 send. And then I'm going to use Ableton Live as my working example. I have currently OTT, or basically the multi-band compressor OTT, set up in Ableton. So in theory... Okay, I can see it's working. So I'm going to basically select the area I want to route through the external effects, and I'm going to do external only as the render setup. Right now it's actually doing a recording of the external instrument. You just can't hear it because we turned down the output volume to 0. It's also kind of clipping, but we're not going to worry about the clipping right now. Yeah. So that was OTT to death, but you get the idea. You could essentially route the audio through an external effects and sample it back in doing that method. So again, it's just setting up an external instrument, making sure that any kind of output of that external instrument is turned down all the way, and then just doing the selection quick rendering function, which is you make a selection and double tap edit, and then do external only. Yeah. And ignore the clipping. That's just me not having my M8's output set up correctly for that. I think that's pretty much all I got for show and tell. somebody was wondering like how I do my live sets. I could go over that, but I feel like we could do that better as another meetup where we plan it better, and we could have like maybe Mikey show his live setup and me show mine, and that I think that would be a really cool meetup to do, but maybe not something that we just do ad hoc like we're doing right now.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
Because I know there's multiple ways of doing it. I do it one way. Mikey does it a very different way. Sky probably does it a different way as well. So it'd be nice to kind of maybe present that in a nicer format.
Yeah. I'll be quick. I'm just hit play. Real talk though.
You got to do like the hand flinging motions. So
I do that, but never mind. Hey, if I'm going to spend 80 hours on one track, I deserve to be able to just play it.
That's true. That's true. And everybody has their own way of doing live performance. I think I talked about this before, where back in the day, I was pretty critical about live electronic music performances. And I'd be like, oh, well, they're not doing enough live, or, you know, kind of being a hater a little bit. And until like I got wise enough to realize that everybody has their own ways of performing live. And you know, some people do visuals, some people just get up there and dance and go crazy, and other people like really care about the technical details of exactly what you're doing and when you're doing it. And that's the beauty of it. It's up to the artist to decide what they want to do for a live performance.
Next time I'm going to hit play and just go into the audience.
I was really dumb back in the day.
It's okay, we all were.
So,
I still am dumb.
I was about to say, yeah. I'm still pretty dumb.
See, I have to drink to make sure that I'm dumb enough when I'm out and about.
Wow, backhanded insult much.
For me.
Gotta dull the senses.
Yeah. Yeah, because I just can't turn off the thinking too much brain. It's a personal flaw of mine.
I have that too. It's hard when you get into your own head.
Yeah. Just like we are now. Anyways, I think that's it for things to talk about, unless anybody has any questions or things that are going on. Reading the chats right now.
Same.
Yeah, multiple people are typing. Several people are typing. Mostly people talking about their brain cells and how many they have left. So maybe we're good.
I did a lot of drinking during Boston Bitdown. It's my... I need to get better about that, but, you know. It's hard to relax nowadays.
Yeah, what's relaxing like?
I don't know.
I say as I sit here overthinking immediately.
Probably been asked to ask. Well, geez, timeline. Yeah, there's a timeline I'm hoping for. Sorry, I'll read this question out loud. Is there a timeline on the next wave of pre-orders for the M8? And there is roughly. I want to open up the next pre-order in April. I haven't announced it yet because you might have missed it, but I said earlier I'm just waiting for some parts to come in. Basically, I don't do pre-orders unless everything's kind of as guaranteed as possible as my end to meet any timeline deadlines. So, that's something else we need to think about, Mikey, is the people who submitted bundles. We had the option of whether or not they're comfortable sharing the bundles. Do we have like a system in place for like when and how they could be shared?
Yeah, so I was planning to make them available once we finish today's meetup, since that would conclude all the submissions that were made for the last two meetups. So once we're done here, I will open it up. I'll probably just have like a Google drive link that everyone can access and download from.
Awesome.
Unless there's a more straightforward process, but seems like that seems like the optimal way to do it.
I'm glad that somebody's thought this through because I sure haven't. I will say that I am working on more additions to M8 actively in terms of next firmware, future firmwares. There has been significant progress made on yet another new version. That of which I'm not necessarily comfortable sharing any details about it just yet, but know that probably after this current pre-order batch ships, when I have more time, we'll be starting a beta on that. But I'm pretty excited to get going on that firmware.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything I could share without like maybe messing something up and sharing too much and it not actually working out, because I'm still kind of in the planning phases of it.
Yeah, no oversharing for now.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should go and play some bundles.
Yeah, I think it's bundle time.
Should I lose changes to the current song?
That OTT render was pretty good. You don't want to lose that.
It was like clipped the shit.
It was very, very squish. Well, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think somebody asked like how many more features can we cram in. I think I was called out recently on Discord because like in 2020 or something like that, I'm like, we pretty much hit the limit, guys. I'm like, oh yeah, that was I think it was 2020 or 2021. It was like way early on, and I'm like, oh man, I did not know how much more I could fit into this thing. So, yeah. It's a hilarious quote to call me out on. Where did I put you? Oh, wrong SD card, that's why. We need hold music for these moments. And we are not using the random name selection this time because everybody here is being their songs are being played. So we'll just start from the top. So this is going to be HMARA with Nostalgia. Hopefully my volumes are not distorting. Awesome. Super chill. Thanks for sharing. That again was HMARA with Nostalgia. Next up, we got GregVK with Regal Mantis. Awesome. That again was Regal Mantis by GregVK, I believe. Next up, we got nnonick with Motive. Motivate? There we go. Don't blame me. You guys know I can't read. Awesome. Thank you again for submitting that bundle. Sorry to everyone that whose bundle was not randomly chosen last week. Yeah. That again was nnonick with Motivate. Just flying through these without reading the names. This next one's by vidret. Couch Arpeggio. Ooh. Didn't say anything stupid. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Really love that feedback. Sorry about me talking through it a little bit. I'm having a technical difficulty with my setup. That again was vidret with couch arpeggio. I guess my mic does not, volume does not work here. Rip.
Rip.
So if you guys hear me breathing through all these songs, I'm sorry. I was like looking through my mixer setup to figure this out, and I don't think I can. Check. Yeah, it still works. Rip. All right, moving on.
Rip.
Next up, we got NearTao with Missing Wake. I assume I should start here, right? It probably says that in the notes, but the notes are somewhere else. Awkward silence. That was awesome. Thank you again for submitting that song. That again was NearTao with Missing Wake. Next up we got Sleepside Metro with I Can't Read This. Maelgwyn's Faithful something probably. Awesome. I keep saying awesome, but that's because you guys are awesome and way more productive than me. That again was Sleepside Metro with Maelgwyn's Faithful. I'm sighing because I don't know if that's the full title. You know, Boboid, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is it Boboid?
Bobby D.
Bobby D? Bobby D makes more sense. I always read it as Boboid on Discord. This next one's Bobby D with Laserstar. Thank you for submitting that track. That again was Bobby D with some song, I forget the title. That was a generative track, so I had to fade it down. Laserstar, sorry about that. That again was Mr. Dr. Katz. Paging Mr. Dr. Katz. Next we got Hex Tulpa with borfsq. Borfsq? B-O-B-or-F-sq. Borfsq. Yeah, there we go. Make sure volume is okay. That was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. That again was Hex Tulpa with borfsq. So let's see. I got ahead of myself. Next up, we got Hoxed with Moosh. Moosh. amazing. That again was hoaxed with Moosh. Next up we got Hex with MERLIN. That was great. Thank you so much for submitting that song. That again was Hex with MERLIN. Happy birthday, Hex. This song is by SQF. It is Crypticgrass. Awesome. That again was SQF with Crypticgrass. Next up we have Kurt After All with Level Up. It was great. Really like the lead in that one. That again was Kurt After All with Level Up. Next up we got LudOverdrive with Mindless. Wow. Really like that one. Thank you for sharing. Lose changes to current song? Yes. That again was LudOverdrive with Mindless. I need more alcohol, guys. Sorry. My jet lag's getting the best of me. Oh, sure. Next up, we got Wes Jensen with Preposterous. All right. Sorry, I had to watch the playhead on that one because it was noted it might not stop. That again was Wes Jensen with Preposterous. And up next we have HoolieBrown with Copper Pot. That was amazing. Really appreciate the guitar in that one. I assume that was recorded in. Great job. That again was HoolieBrown with Copperpot. Next up, sorry. Next up we got dollabeats with boards. Love that pitch bend at the end. That again was dollabeats with boards. Next up is TVI Me with 2S guitars, I assume. 2S Guilt TR2. 25 GUIT TR2. Hey, you know. Also where we start.
25 Git.
25 Git.
Guitars.
Start from 0, 0. Awesome. Thank you for submitting that track. That again was, I believe, TV and Me with 25 Guitars 2. All right, that's it for the... Sorry, I didn't specify this in the beginning. We have 2 folders here, returning and first time song submissions. But give me a second. I need to transfer one more track because, might as well do it live. Give me just a second. I forgot to transfer a song because I dumb. Bundles. 15. All right. So next up is all of our returning artists' song submissions. Up first we have Octopod with Sugar Cube. Amazing. That again was Octopod with Sugar Cube. Next up we have Little Losses with Sacrifice. Awesome. Texturally really cool. That again was Little Losses with Sacrifice. Next up we got Ineffable Twaddle with Chopped Gorilla.
Look, boys, I'm telling you, they walked in. 6 of them, 6 big gorillas. They attacked me. Hit me right on my crawl go. Look at that lump. Look at that crawl go. Look at that lump.
Yeah, look at this one. Say, wait a minute.
Who are you?
Hey.
Look at that lump.
Yeah, look at this one.
What are you doing here?
Hey.
Awesome. Thank you. That again was Ineffable Twaddle with Chopped Gorilla. Next up is Gleix with Lost in It. was great. Thank you so much. That was Gleix with Lost in It. Next up we have Couldn't Be You with Hypercore 2. Yeah, thank you so much for submitting your song. That again was Couldn't Be You with Hypercore 2. Only a few more left. Up next we have Rum Raisin with Digital Net. Sorry, I had to cut that early. I think it looped. Thank you for submitting that song. That was awesome. Ooh, I don't want to render it. That again was Rum Raisin with Digital Net. Next up we got Gloms. Gloms? Gloms. We got Glooms with Forgiveness. I'm going to preemptively turn this down a little bit.
You gotta know what a crumpet is. You gotta know what a crumpet is. You gotta know what a crumpet is to understand cricket. Check, check, check.
Hello. Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds. That again was Glooms with Forgiveness. Next up we got Drifters with Thread. Oh, what happened? Oh no. It failed to load song.
Uh-oh.
This has never happened before. Why it fail?
What does it mean?
What does it mean? Too much song.
Why'd you do it?
Live debug. We want to do a live debug. I could try copying it over on another card and trying it that way while we play a different song. I think that would be fair. All right, up next we got Avril with Inception. I'm sorry, Incepticon? There we go. Lovely. Thank you so much for submitting that song. That again was Avril with Insepticon. It looks like we can't play that last bundle. I don't know what happened, but it's a 0-byte file. So we are going to have to just play it at the next meetup, I think is the answer. Which means we have to do another meetup soon. I'm sighing. But it's actually fun. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up and hanging out and submitting your songs. And we should arrange another one soon enough. Mikey?
Yeah. Maybe another 2 weeks? Maybe?
Yeah,
Something like that.
Let's look at the calendar and figure it out. I know we have, let's see. I got the pre-orders to put together to ship those out soon. But, we're doing this on the weekend, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. We have Super Booth coming up in May. So obviously we should do one between now and then at least.
We should do one on April 1st.
We should do one on April. What day is April 1st?
April 1st.
I mean, what day?
I know.
It is a Tuesday.
It'll be Choco Tuesday again.
So we're not doing one on Tuesday. Nobody's around on Tuesdays.
Okay. Next year.
Yeah, just letting everybody know we do have Super Booth coming up in May. So if you're interested in hanging out with us, we would love to see you. Myself, Sky, Mikey, and Leo will all be there running the booth this year. So it is a fun time. It's like a synth convention-y thing meets a party. So
Outside.
yeah, because we got a tent outside and we're hanging out in the tent.
Come make some literal dirty bass with us as the dirt gets everywhere.
Well, I'm hopeful that it won't be as dusty as it was last year. I mean, for everybody visiting, it's totally fine, but for us being in the booth all day, it does get a little dusty. Anyway, I guess that wraps this meetup. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and I hope to see you at the next one. We will announce it here probably in the next couple days, if not today. We just need to look at the calendar, make sure that everything is open for that day. And you guys could submit more songs if you wish. Just maybe not if you do more than one meetup's worth of bundle submissions, then we'll have to have 2 more meetups, and then that's just a lot of hanging out.
So much hanging out.
Too much? No.
We can't be having that. Can't be having that much fun.
All right, everybody. Thank you, Mikey. Thank you, Sky. And we'll see you again soon. Have a good rest of your weekend, everyone.
Ta-ta for now.
Bye.